Good evening. Laura Donnelly here with Strange and Interesting Times, day 180. So, if you wanted to play with the numbers, 0 is often, like in a tarot card deck, 0 is the Fool, which is sort of innocence and possibility. 1 is often symbolized by will, and 8 by balance. If you add these all together, you get 9, which is the hermit. Solo time, inward time. Time spent focusing in order to sort out things and be ready to be out in the public a different way. So hermit is kind of good for constriction. In the olden times, the hermits went away. They went into the desert. They stayed in caves. They isolated themselves from the general hubbub of everyday life. And check it out. This goofball virus is isolating us a lot from our everyday lives. So there's a way, whether we intended it or not, that these COVID-related shutdowns have kind of hermitized us in a very bizarre way. Now, I have a friend, and she, I mentioned her before, Mary, my 6th grade teacher, and she has done a couple of online retreats during this COVID time, and with some Benedictine nuns. And one of the questions that they were asked to reflect upon is what might be lost if we didn't take advantage of this quiet time, this time when we are constricted from our normal running around. That doesn't mean our normal running around is wrong and that we can't go back to it sometime. We certainly could, probably will. I'm anticipating we will. Okay, now I just had a very random and very weird thought. Is that, I'm heading into my last third of my life here. And if this goes on for a long time, I might not see the kind of freedom and easy interaction that was the norm in my growing up time and my young adult time and most of my average adult time. So that's an interesting idea. That never crossed my mind before. Because I'm kind of I don't think that way. I think about now. I think about what is right now. And so if you know things that make you feel constricted or constrained or confined in your daily life, in your thinking, you could pop them in the comments if you wanted. And we can chat about those. One of the things that makes me feel constricted is trying to work with the clock. Now, I mentioned at the very beginning of this series of little strange and interesting times chats that consistency was a challenging thing for me to do anything every day, besides get up and have my coffee, which is one of my favorite things to do. It was pretty challenging. I mean, I did a lot of things, a lot of different things, a lot of work, a lot of everything, but not really a lot of the same thing every single day. So for me, one of the interesting outcomes of the confinement of these shutdown times and my personal commitment to go live every day is that I've done this for at least 180 days. And if I don't think I'm counting the healing path time, so it's probably more like 190 or close to 200. I probably should really go and look at the calendar, but it's all right. I'm not that interested in the numbers or the dates. I'm just interested in how this is happening. Now I had new friend today, and she asked me, okay, well, I'm not good at responding to notifications and that stuff in Facebook, but do you go live every day at a certain time? I could just plan that in my day. Oh, darn. No, I can't do it. Now, I generally do it in the evening, and that's about as constrained as I can do, but every once in a while I go at another time. If I have a guest who can talk in the middle of the afternoon or the morning, depending on if they're on another continent, like over in the UK or Germany or something, and they need to go earlier in the day because it's already later evening for them, we do that. The day I think that I was balancing eggs for the equinox, because I think I went early on that day. But in general, I try to go live between 6:30 at night and 9. Sometimes I get on almost by midnight. I found one today where I was that late, and I was kind of not at my most peak efficiency. So that's another constriction I have. I'm really good with numbers, but ever since I was in high school, I realized I can't really do math, not even simple math like balancing my checkbook, after 8 o'clock at night. I try to do it. I make stupid mistakes, silly mistakes. I can't find them. I can't correct them. And the next morning I get up and it's like 5 minutes, boom, boom, boom. Everything is fixed and resolved and in its correct space. And I could have spent an hour the night before. So that's a self-imposed constriction I put on myself, which is not to do math after 8 o'clock at night. This idea of finding ease within constriction came from my friend Jill Lynn. She is very thoughtful and has been working with ease for a couple of years and really is finding ways that it sustains her throughout many, many areas of her life. And so she was saying that the constriction of outside responsibility causes her not to feel very easy. So like a certain kind of meeting, a staff meeting or something like that, that you have once a week, that can be an anchor in your week, and it can be a constriction depending on how you look at it. Did you hear my voice? See, I have an agenda about that word. I don't like the word constraint either. Now, I do like commitment better, right? So I made a commitment to go live every day that the shutdowns were going on. That's my choice. That's not an outside constriction on my time. So this is just something about me, right? That's how I work and how I deal with the balance between those two things. So I decided I would go live every day. And then, a few days in, I kind of went, hey, what if this goes on for 90 days? Well, it went on for a lot longer than 90 days, which I never anticipated in the beginning. And I'm like, wow. And then somebody else asked me, are you going to keep doing this? Are you really going to keep doing this? And I'm like, well, I think so. I'm going to keep doing it as long as it feels good. So so far, still feels good because I have to take care of myself. In order to do these, I have to take care of myself. I have to pause at some time towards the end of the day. I have to come back to my center. I have to pay attention to ease, or else I just, go all over the map. And so this practice of sharing about strange and interesting times is also a set aside time for me to practice my own ease in my own system. So I took something that could be constraining, like I travel one day a week and I have to broadcast from different locations. I figured out how to do that. That could have been like, I'm like, okay, I think I can figure this out. And I could. And so if I'm easy, This is what I'm trying to say. See, I got all excited there. If I'm easy, when I approach the thing that I consider constricting, I can ask myself a simple question. Is how easily can I work within this constriction? Now, the constriction about going live every day and going in the evening and letting the time be flexible, that was a choice I made, and it may mean that I have a smaller audience because people can't find me so easily. Or the summer's going away and people who were available at this time maybe are eating earlier or eating later or whatever. But still in all, the way I can deal with every day is not to say every day at 7 p.m. because my life isn't that organized or regulated. Then, for me, the first thing I need to do is realize that I'm running into some kind of a boundary that feels constrictive or constraining to me. Then I can look at it and I can ask, is this something I made? And can I change it? Or is this something somebody else made? And is there a way for me to work with it differently? Sometimes no. Like sometimes you have a doctor's appointment or a dentist appointment and you just have to get there on that time, period. That's all there is to it. You can't, you have a filling, it needs to be done before it gets worse. You can't reschedule. Okay. That's like once every 6 months or something, that's not like every single day. Now, when I work with people, I'm better if I, if I'm going to their location, I'm better if I can flex the time. So that if I wake up and I've had some amazing dreams and I want to take some time to journal in the morning before I head out the door, I have that flexibility. That helps me. And then when I get to the place where I'm working with somebody, I'm just like 100% there. My brain isn't halfway on the thing I couldn't do because I had to leave early. And so that works better for me. It's not always possible with the people you work with. But if it is and that works for you, then I encourage you to explore those ways of doing that. So again, the steps of finding ease within constriction. First step is to recognize the constriction. Second step is to figure out if it's a constriction that you placed on your life from inside you. I was talking to a friend the other day, just a wonderful, delightful woman, and she had planned to do something that was going to go live online on Friday. And then several things came up in her life, and it was really making a difficult boundary. And she said, I can just buckle down and push through. And I said, how good is that for you? She's like, well, not very good. So I said, well, so was this your deadline? And she said, yes. And I said, okay, so we look at the fear about not meeting this deadline, which partly was not keeping her word. I said, but is there a higher word? It's like for me, if I would say I would go live every day at 7 and it totally stressed me out and I couldn't find my ease, what am I doing? Trying to talk to you about ease when I'm not easy. See, not functional. And the work she's doing is a lot about listening to yourself and taking care of yourself and being in honest and authentic communication with yourself as you work through your business. And I said, so in terms of scanning for ease, what if you move the thing? It's your project. What if you moved it a couple of weeks away? And our whole self just went, And I said, there's many easy ways to share this with the people who are anticipating it on this date. And the primary one is that you need more time. And when you take more time, you will have more information and better content when you offer the thing. And she's like, wow, I just didn't think that was a movable thing a few minutes ago. So a lot of times it's really good to talk to somebody, because somebody can just ask you a question from outside. They're not in your head. They're not part of your thing. And so they don't have, the same constrictions, the same ideas about how something has to happen. Now and ideas about something has to happen are not bad ideas. So all the things about constriction are not bad. For instance, our skin constricts all of our organs and our muscles. And without the skin on the outside, this stuff would just flop all over the place and it would be a disaster. So the constriction of the skin is good. However, if the tissue, now I'm going to forget the name of that tissue right by the top of the skin. Darn it, it has a name. It's really cool. It's some kind of connective tissue. Fascia, there we go, fascia. Love that brain. Spin it around. So the fascia is kind of around the muscles and under the skin, and the fascia can get constricted so that neither the skin can move freely nor the muscles. And then my massage person I like to go to, she has something called a fascia blaster or something. It's a massaging thing. I like to take a hot bath instead. That's my first choice. Take a hot bath and soak that stuff and let it relax. So sometimes things that are good can shift into a constriction. And that's why the very first step is to observe and catalog and question and identify. Is this thing a habit or is it a constriction? Is it a nice routine that has become a constrictive habit? These things can shift really easily, and you can shift out of them really easily. Then, once you do that, and as soon as you feel like I'm bumping up against this boundary, that's your reminder to come back to center, to scan for ease in your system, to see what place of you feels a little bit easier. And then you just don't have to do anything. You just have to notice that, I'm a little easier. And everything else shifts because it's all connected. So, as you will have noticed if you've been coming very often, my solution to everything is to scan for ease. Don't ever know what's going to happen. You don't know how your body's going to change or react. But I know from experience that it shifts inside and outside just a little bit and just enough for me to see things from a different point of view. So I hope that was helpful. And let's see, what else do I have to say? If it was, this is easy and simple and hard to remember to do. You get totally carried away, get frustrated by the constriction, get frustrated by the person who put the constriction on you, get frustrated at yourself, bad. And you're 10 or 15 miles down the road before you got to remember, oh, wait, I could come back to ease. And a lot of times when I do that, a solution pops into my head. So if you'd like more information, do please reach out, send a message or a comment. If you're running into constrictions, there's the overall constriction of the COVID times, the constrictions on travel. Those are also restrictions on travel, restrictions on social gatherings, family gatherings, things like that. So give yourself some time to look at those and to think about them and to see where you have overly narrowed your life, where you have reasonably narrowed your life down, and in the narrower space, how are you using your reflective time? And that's Strange and Interesting Times for today, 180. I will see you tomorrow from a different location for day 181. Be good, take care, and have a wonderful evening.